She is an author of multiple books, including I Minded, Living and Writing, Contemporary Art, and South of Pico, African American Artists in Los Angeles in the 60s and 1970s, which was named Best Art Book of 2017 by the New York Times. Dr. Kellie Jones, good morning.
Good morning, Dominique. Great to be here.
Yeah, great to have you on. Thank you for coming. I know you're very busy because you also happen to be my sister. You got like 3,200 jobs between teaching, writing books, and curating various art shows. You just stay incredibly busy.
We all do. You're busy too, so we're all busy. We got to be busy and busier at this moment. So there you go.
Yeah. Well, most of us have heard of Betye Saar. Like, even if you're not an art expert or an art historian, as you are, Dr. Jones, I like calling you that. I'm going to just be calling you Dr. Jones today, okay?
That's fine.
Okay. Even if you're not you, we probably have heard of her. She's one of the more, the artist who has kind of broken through into the popular consciousness to some degree. Why do you think that is? What do you attribute that to?
Well, she was one of the people that got, especially for Los Angeles and for Black artists in Los Angeles, who got recognized early on. In 1970, she was in the very esteemed exhibition, the Whitney, now it's the Whitney Biennial, it was the Whitney Annual. She was the first Black woman to be in that show in 1970. And then in 1975, she had a solo exhibition at the Whitney Museum of American Art. And, that at the time, I wouldn't say it now, because now, we can recognize a lot more places in Los Angeles that are important, but at that time, that was like the cream of the crop. If you're in that show, you have made it. So the fact that she was in showing at the Whitney Museum of American Art that early was important. And that was also the time that Black artists were protesting and organizing both at the Los Angeles County Museum of Art and the Whitney Museum of American Art and saying, look, these are American institutions. We pay taxes. We want to be included because, of course, these institutions up to that time had not really included Black artists at all. And so she's really among the first that there are some others, but she's really the one who makes the biggest impact. And then, of course, that came to California. And she had a big impact also on a younger generation of artists.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit more about that. But first, how does that happen? How does a Betye Saar, a young Black woman, then land that solo exhibition at the Whitney in 1975? What is the journey from, from start as her beginnings as an artist to that? Because we're going to have another, I don't know how many decades of art and contribution after that.
Right. She was very active with the feminist movement as well as Black artists. And that's really the time when a lot of action was happening, particularly at the Whitney because of protests. Between 1969 and 1975, they had a record 10 solo shows of African-American artists, like every year. And a group show that was a bit controversial. But so that was new, and that was because of protests. That was because, and because of the 60s, and because of all the stuff that was going on in the 60s and 70s that gave us the life that we knew up to recently, right? Protesting for openness in education, getting people into various jobs in all sectors. So art is no different, right? If you're thinking of corporate world opening up or music world or any kind of other world, law opening up, law schools, this is the same activity. And so art benefited from it. And she was one of the earliest ones benefiting from it.
I mean, I think that's worth underlining, which is that, because I always hear people say, protest doesn't make any difference. We march and we holler and nothing happens. And to hear you say that even in the art world, where I tend to think of it as more insular and more sort of, you know, I don't know, out of the realm of what we're talking about. We're usually protesting about a policy or a politician or a lack of resources. To see that that can really impact a museum and what they chose, you know, or other institutions and what they choose to admit in to their circles is I think, really important.
Absolutely. And I have an article called "It's Not Enough to Say Black is Beautiful" on this in my book, I Minded. If anybody wants to look that up, you can download it in various sites. And it outlines, you know, that particular moment and how protest really impacted the art world for Black artists at a particular moment. I think it's also, you know, continued over time at different moments where, let's say from then on, people have been making advances, and then in the moment of Black Lives Matter, also more protests, and the museums also changed again. Now, it doesn't mean that they don't change back to different things, as we've seen in other realms, or make other shifts. I don't want to say change back, because there's still a lot of good things happening, and a lot of, you know, also not only artists, but curators, the people who actually make the decisions on what is shown, are, you know, in museums as well, more in the more broad sweep now than they were previously, I would say.
Mm. Yeah, and also the work of folks like you that expose people to art that they may overlook or they might not even have known about at all. I mean, I want to, you know, give you props for that too, because that's part of it, being able to play in their sandboxes, you know, in institutions like Columbia University and like, you know, these big museums that you show at. It makes a difference.
Yeah, you know, these are great opportunities, and as we know in our family, when you get an opportunity, you better take it. You don't just sit back and eat potato chips all day. You got to jump in and do your part. You know, when I had the opportunity to work in Los Angeles and do the show, Now Dig This Art in Black Los Angeles, 1960 to 1980, which was at the Hammer Museum in 2011, that really changed the discourse, as many people tell me as well. It was sponsored by, you know, the Getty Foundation, which put resources behind these Pacific Standard Time projects, and that was one of them. And it was just wonderful to be able to support the artists in Los Angeles. I was in the middle of writing a book on it, and somebody came up to me and said, "Hey, you know, I see, what are you doing in LA? I said, "I'm doing research on a book." And they said, "Would you like to do a show?" And I said, "When my book is done." And they called me up 2 weeks later and said, "Is your book done now?" and that's how that project started. So the show happened before the book because of all those things, but it was great. It was great to get artists, say, digital reproductions of works that they never had. I mean, some of these works that were in major museums from the 60s had been in there. Very few people had gone to see them. And then I ran in there and looked at some of these things, and I'd seen them, say, in black and white reproduction, and then you go see it in real time, and it's not black and white at all.
Wow.
And it doesn't sit on the floor. It's a sculpture, but it hangs on the wall, and it's orange. So there's a lot of things that you can't account for, even though these things had been, you know, somewhat documented. When you do big show with nice resources, you can do those things and give people the shine that they deserve, the notoriety and such that they deserve. I mean, the great thing about that project, again, for people who want more information, is that it is a stable site on the Hammer Museum website, and it funded also by the Mellon Foundation years ago to create this website, which has the show also traveled to 3 locations. It was at the Hammer. It went to the Williams College Museum of Art and also Museum of Modern Art, PS1, or MoMA PS1 in New York. Williams College is, of course, in Williamstown, Massachusetts. So it went to those 3 places. We had, different programs, and all those things are on the site, videos, promotional videos we did for the show. So it's a great resource for people who want to know more about these artists, including Betye Saar. I also had a book conversation with our father during that time, and Mary Baraka, and that's on the site. So you can see me with my very bad interview skills or so, not like you, Dominique.
I wouldn't go that far.
That online.
I think it's quite brilliant. Dr. Kellie Jones is our guest. We're talking about Betye Saar. We talk about, as you mentioned, her influence on later generations, some of her breakthrough moments, and what we should track, what we can still see, what we should still see of her work as we celebrate her life. We lost her last week while I was out and about in the world. And so I'm very pleased to be able to pay tribute to her today. We'll continue the conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
The station you turn to when you've had it up to here with cultural incompetence. KBLA Talk 1580.
The KBLA 1580 app puts the realest conversations right in your pocket. Stream live wherever you are in the world. No static. No searching the dial. A crystal clear connection 24/7, exactly when you want it. We recommend that you keep automatic updates enabled. Set it and forget it. So the app stays up to date with store requirements, bug fixes, and new features as we roll them out. Download the KBLA 1580 app today and stay plugged into the conversation everyone's having.
The best time to recommit to your gut health goals? Right now. Take charge of your gut with Nature Made. Our clinically studied ingredients support digestive health. Digestive enzymes break down nutrients. Probiotic and prebiotic fiber nourish good gut bacteria. And super greens with probiotics empower daily digestive health. Try the full lineup of gut health support from Nature Made, the #1 pharmacist-recommended vitamin and supplement brand. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Just in case you missed our Procrastination Crenshaw Town Hall.
And we are here on the chocolate side of Los Angeles to simply lift up black dignity, black honor. No spirit of hatred here. We here because we love our people. We love the people of this community. We love the people of every corner of this city, but some of us start on the chocolate side. And so all of the critiques, all of the calls for accountability have nothing to do with ad hominem attacks on any elected official. It has to do with either indifference or incompetence, maybe even corruption. We don't know, but we just want to make sure that everyday people in this community are treated with the dignity that they deserve. That's why we're here.
Holding them accountable. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
At Charmin, we heard you shouldn't talk about going to the bathroom in public, so we decided to sing about it.
Charmin Ultra Strong. You can use less, better than the rest. Charmin Ultra Strong. Your booty past the clean test. Salmon weave texture, it's the best. Study up, teach a lesson on fresh. Your booty past the clean test. Yes, sir. Charmin Ultra Strong.
Charmin Ultra Strong with diamond weave texture cleans better than the leading one-ply brand, so you can use less. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DePrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
And today you're also waking up, with Dr. Kellie Jones. She's a professor in art history and archaeology. She is a curator of shows and an author. And talking about Betye Saar. Betye Saar, known as an artist, obviously, probably known for her work in assemblage, sort of these put together pieces. Why do you think, or explain what you mean when you say that she had a lasting impact on a younger wave of artists after her?
Yeah, well, I'm looking at one of the images now from the show from 1960. It's called "To Catch a Unicorn," and it's a print. It shows a nude black woman, just leaning against this unicorn, who is white. And the unicorn, if you catch it, is good luck, and it's usually caught by a virginal white maiden, right? So the fact that even in 1960, she's imagining a black woman as capturing this success and magic is really important. And so that's one of the reasons why the kind of younger generation looked at her, because she was into, kind of spirituality, the beyond in her work. And also it was, multimedia. So she starts out with print. She starts out as a printmaker. She's a mom. She has 3 kids. She's got to do things that are easier. And then as her children grow up, she moves into the 3 dimensions. First, just using windows. And another beautiful piece by her is called Black Girl's Window from 1969, where she puts images from the tarot, from other types of spiritual systems in the panes of the window with a black woman looking out into her future, right? From there, she moves into more three-dimensional, and probably the most famous one, which is in the collection of University of California, Berkeley Art Museum, is the Liberation of Aunt Jemima.
Yeah.
Where the Aunt Jemima figure becomes a warrior, right? She has a broom and a rifle, right? So she's ready for everything, and as we know, the former Pancake Box used to have that image, so that's also collaged in there. And remember, this image is from 1972. But she famously goes to where? Swap meets, vintage places. Wherever she was in the world, she would find a vintage place to go to, antique store, thrift store, and find beautiful things for future work. And so that whole trajectory of both being very spiritually oriented, also oriented toward toward the global world, right? She's interested in Asia. She's interested in Africa. She goes to Africa finally in the 70s, but she's already looking at it and putting things together, thinking about Africa way, way before that. So she travels eventually all over the world, but even before that, she was thinking globally about what the wider world was and looking at various cultures for inspiration. So I think that impacted so many artists, the lucky ones who were able to be with her in Los Angeles: David Hammons, Houston Conwell, Suzanne Jackson, Marin Hassinger, Sengen Ngugi, and some of these artists now have also gotten a lot of fame at this time. Marin Hassinger, for instance, has a show up at University of California, Berkeley Art Museum right now. So, yes, she had a great impact on them just for her technique.
I'm looking at these pieces that you're mentioning, while you're talking about them. And if you're by your computer, it adds another dimension to what Dr. Jones is talking about, to look at these images. Some of the stuff, I think you keep bringing up the dates, but some of it is, it's still pioneering now, but if you put it in the context of the time when she made it, it's almost unimaginable that, I know that was a revolutionary period, and it's almost unimaginable that she was able to, sort of see these things and then put them on some kind of art medium.
Yeah. Well, just think about the context of Los Angeles. You had the Watts Rebellion, 65. She really gets inspired by that, as many artists did. Some of the artists, in fact, Noah Purifoy, for instance, used remnants of the rebellion, some of the detritus, the garbage that was left over, and remade things. And part of it was not only that it was from there, but that it had that spirit in it. So the idea that objects had a spiritual power is something that I think she really reinforced among a younger generation of artists, that objects had a spiritual power. So you can imagine when people are saying, okay, this is a burned whatever, piece of whatever it is, a building, and I'm going to take this rock and put that in the middle of something, and it's going to have that energy, that power to overcome, you know. So that, I think, was a major part of what she did, but also inspired very much by Los Angeles of the time. You know, Los Angeles was no joke.
It is no joke. And you know, I'm glad to hear you say that. I was having a conversation with a friend about something else, well, specifically Black August, and how a lot of times, because so many big news institutions and cultural institutions are located on the East Coast, there's a tendency to overlook on the West Coast and our contributions in art, culture, politics. And it's funny because you're very firmly planted out there on the East, Dr. Jones, but you have spent a lot of your creative energy exploring artists and movements, cultural movements out here. And I wonder, like, what connected you in that way, and in what to me appears to be a blind spot for a lot of folks on the East Coast.
Yeah, and people always ask me that, and I say, because I'm from New York, I'm like, wait a minute. You know, they say, are you from Los Angeles? Why did you do all this work? I said, no, I'm from New York. And they say, why? Because I wanted to know. You know, New York is always, the United States is not a small place. There's art all over the country and the world, by the way, and it's there. And the more you dig, the more you find. Another inspiration, I have to say, is a lot of the artists that I mentioned who were inspired by Betye Saar, Houston Conwell, David Hammonds, Marin Hassinger, and Senga Ngugi, all came in and out of New York during my time, you know, working as a young curator there, and I met them. And so in trying to figure out how they got to be the way they were, I went back in history. And also, let's just talk about Charles White for a moment. I mean, he's one of the major figures if you're studying African-American artists. And, you know, he was in Altadena all those years. And I knew that before I got involved with all this LA stuff. So there was always a spark. And one of the reasons why LA is important, and the West Coast in particular, but let's just focus on LA for a minute, is that people felt a sense of freedom there. You know, all the research I did and interviews, and it was just like the Great Migration, for instance. And a lot of these people are, part of that, people whose families came out of the South to California.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the freedom that they were looking for. So there's also freedom in materials. If you're talking about New York as like the center of at least the commercial art world, the finance system, it's older. It goes back to, 19th century, if not before that. So, but that also means they're looking for specific things for you to be successful. Art has to look a certain way until it's proven that it should look another way. And so for people who could experiment, right? They didn't have that. They didn't have that in LA. People went there, they could care less. Just do it, And so a lot of great stuff has come out of LA in terms of art of all kinds, really.
Yeah, I was just laughing because I was thinking about that. I was actually looking through, some Basquiat stuff, from your book, and thinking that there was a time, I'm sure, when people would have said that is not how art is supposed to look, until they said it was how it was supposed to look, kind of like what you just said.
It's true. I mean, and this is the thing, in Basquiat's lifetime, he had good financial success, but he died young. But the critics couldn't stand him. You know what happens after he passes, right? Everybody loves it. Now he's like the highest selling black artist in history.
Wow.
Except that he's also Puerto Rican too. So, the Latinos also, we're like, yeah, everybody, is going to get some of this, over $100 million. But that's after he's dead. So that's always one of my pet peeves, And And this is why, knowing these histories now, and I think one of my guiding lights as an art historian is, people always say, oh my God, I didn't know about this artist. I said, but some people did. We knew. The people who do this work know these artists and know these people for a longer amount of time. And it was really a great honor to work with Betye Saar on this show, Now Dig This, Art in Black Los Angeles, and to have her be a part of my book, South of Pico, African-American Artists in Los Angeles in the 60s and 70s, which came out after that. And she's a major part. She's actually in 2 chapters because I think about her as a front runner, somebody who was there really early on from the beginning. And then also somebody doing assemblage, which is a major style that takes off. It takes off on the East Coast, too. They call it something else, neo-dada, but it's the same thing.
We'll continue our conversation with Dr. Kellie Jones after news, traffic, and sports, right here.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominic DePrima when we come forward.
I'm Mike Island with BIN News Now. The National Guard is being activated as crews continue to battle raging wildfires in Spokane, Washington. Reportedly, over 600 structures have been damaged or destroyed. A Good Samaritan and an off-duty state trooper are being praised by Idaho police for quick actions during a fast food restaurant shooting on Saturday. The armed bystander and the trooper both opened fire on the suspect at the restaurant in Twin Falls. The shooter used an AR-15 style rifle to kill 3 and wound 7 before apparently turning the gun on himself. Doctors are seeing a new cosmetic side effect caused by weight loss drugs like Ozempic. The condition, known as temporal hollowing or sunken temples, can make the face look older and thinner. Experts say it's becoming more noticeable as GLP-1 medications grow in popularity. I'm Mike Island. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the free iHeartRadio app.
Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA, a national nonprofit, offers more than 1,000 free online resources for youth and high school sports coaches, parents, students, and administrators. Visit PCADevZone.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers believe they have added the final piece to winning a 3rd straight World Series. An hour before the Major League Baseball trade deadline, the Dodgers made a deal with the Detroit Tigers to acquire right-handed pitcher Tariq Skubal, the best pitcher in baseball the last 2 years. Skubal won the Cy Young Award in 2025 and 2024. The Dodgers only had to give up 3 minor league prospects to get him. Alabama A&M will be the first HBCU football team to wear a corporate logo on their jersey. Alabama A&M, a member of the SWAC Conference, agreed to a $250,000 sponsorship deal with Omni 2 Max, a tech services firm based in San Diego. The deal was put together by Omni 2 Max business development manager Siobhan Kamek, an Alabama A&M alumnus. The logo patch will be on the jerseys for Alabama A&M season opener August 29th against Howard in the SWAC MEAC Challenge in Atlanta. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Number 14. That's where Talkers Magazine ranked Tavis Smiley on their Heavy 100 list of the 100 most important talk radio hosts in America. Join Tavis weekdays, 9 a.m. to noon or 9 p.m. to midnight. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Don't be anxious or confused about AI. Take control of your career when you get the skills to tackle real business problems and design specialized solutions. HR Dive reported that entry-level talent with applied AI credentials can receive up to a 25% salary boost. But where do you find training that you can trust? Future-proof your career and deliver more value with Humans Lead the Way AI. Their hybrid learning courses use practical definitions, real-world examples, and strategic insights to help you and your team understand AI with confidence. No magic, no hacks, no shortcuts. Just practical knowledge that helps you use AI more successfully. Don't wait. AI can never replace people who know how to use it well. Register for courses today at humansleadtheway.com. That's humansleadtheway.com.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is connecting you with services and solutions. Domestic violence and family violence is when someone in an intimate or family relationship tries to gain or maintain power and control over another through a wide range of abusive behaviors. Every single act may amount to abuse. Abuse can take on various forms: psychological and emotional, physical and economic, and sexual abuse. The Genesee Center Incorporated is a nationally recognized nonprofit domestic violence prevention and intervention organization, housing women and children from 30 days up to 2 years through emergency and transitional shelters. The Genesee Center also provides support services like mental health counseling, life skills classes, computer training, job referrals, after-school programs for children, field trips, tutoring, and comprehensive direct legal services. If you need help or you'd like to donate or volunteer, call the Genesee Hotline, 1-800-479-7328. That's 1-800-479-7328, or visit genesee.org. Everyone has the right to be safe. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
What's good, KBLA delegation? I am Miles Lowe, and I'm excited to be joining the weekend lineup right here on KBLA Talk 1580. Join me every Saturday at 12 noon for the Do Better Show, where we get into the world of tech, AI, the creator economy, navigating your mental health through it all, and have conversations with founders to find out how real people are making real money right now. It's not a course, not a subscription. Class is in session every weekend, live on the air. So if you knew better, you do better, right? So let's make a better you. The Do Better Show, every Saturday, 12 noon, and replaying again at 7 p.m. right here on Unapologetically Progressive KBLA Talk 1580. We got a lot to talk.
Heard any other talk radio lately that sounds anything like this? We didn't think so. You're listening to Unapologetically Progressive KBLA Talk 1580.
Dr. Kellie Jones is with us. She's an art historian, a professor, and an author. And you were saying before news, traffic, and sports so rudely interrupted us that the whole assemblage movement, which Betye Saar does work in that space, was called something else on the East Coast. And it starts making me think how, we kind of compartmentalize and put people in camps. But speak a little bit more on that, if you would.
Yeah, on the East Coast, it's called Neo-Dada. Dada was a style from Europe that also was multimedia. I mean, you can really just call it multimedia sculpture and you'd be good. That's what it is. I mean, we don't need to mystify these things. I mean, sure, art historians can use their specialized language just like scientists or anybody else, but I think if people are wanting to know more, and art and culture are things, and science as well, let's not get it twisted, are things people need to know more about, you can speak in ways that make it clear what it is. So it is assemblage. Also, if you want to say it in French, assemblage. Again, that's another art historian thing. Or you can say multimedia sculpture as well.
But
it's basically, it's found objects. It's found objects. You putting stuff together you may find it on the street, you may find it in your house, you may find it at a swap meet. And making something rather than carving, something or, doing something, casting bronze, for instance.
You mentioned that Betye Saar was, part of your exhibition at the Hammer Now Dig This, and she was in your book, South of Pico. You did a lot of research, with and around her. How did that impact you?
Well, as these artists, a number of them have passed on to the ancestors, and when you look back, you realize what a gift and what an honor it was to tell these stories in the way that I am able to tell them, and that they trusted me to tell their story or a version of their story. And it's always a pleasure and excitement to visit an artist studio. I had a friend who was, she's retired as an elementary school teacher, and, she came with me on what we call studio visits, where you go and see what the artist has to select to put in an exhibition. And she went with me, and she said, driving up to this place in LA, by the way, and she said, "Wow, you go into these places by yourself?" And I'm like, "Yeah," because of course artists, they're living with little money. They're living, they need a big, in her case, they need a big space to work because she's doing sculpture. So to be able to go to her studio in Topanga Canyon, where she had lived for many, many years, and climb up that canyon, for me, this is why I said I'm a New Yorker. So this is an adventure for me to go to Topanga Canyon and climb up in the canyon to somebody's studio. So, but just really an honor to work with so many artists. Alonzo Davis, who had the Brockman Gallery as well. Just to be able to work with these people who are legendary, and be able to tell a little bit more of their story was just a gift and an honor to work with her. Betye Saar.
Betye Saar passed last week, I think just like 3 or 4 days short of her 100th birthday.
Yes.
Which is pretty amazing. What do you, for the, we have a lot of activists or influencers, activists, community movers and shakers that listen, that are part of our KBLA delegation here. And I think, you've referenced the Hammer Museum website and your own books as places to start. What should we start with? What should we take away as far as how you would see the primary importance of Betye Saar?
Well, I think Betye Saar is so important for California in general, for, all of California artists. But I would also say, and I know a lot of these museums are going to be putting up shows, small shows to honor her legacy. You want to start with the California African American Museum, of course, which, started in the 80s, and part of the activism of that time brought that into being. And that's a good place to start to see exhibitions, and also art and practice in Leimert Park is another great place to look. But also Los Angeles County Museum of Art. I believe they have a show, or at least some works by her up now. But as I said, people will probably be putting homages up to her. Yeah, she missed just a few days. She passed before her 100th. But I think she lived that 100th while she was living 99, because she got so many people were just putting her and celebrating her last year so much. She did a photo shoot in Vogue at 99, so she's really been celebrated, rightly so, for the past year. So that's okay. She said, okay, y'all got the 100. Now you can just remember me for the next 100 years.
I think she was, as a young woman, she was in Pasadena, right? She was, her family's from Pasadena.
Yes.
Pasadena, Altadena, the fires that we had here, which were so devastating, really brought into focus for me what a strong tradition of arts Pasadena and Altadena really have.
Absolutely, particularly for Black artists, and I think that is one show that is up still, I would imagine, or was up at California African American Museum, about the importance of Altadena for Black cultural heritage. She was raised in Pasadena, went to Pasadena Community College because she studied, interior design first, because of course nobody's going to tell you to be an artist back in the 50s.
They still
So
don't.
then,
Yeah.
right, they still don't, but, young black woman there, like, no. And then she went to community college. Then she was doing social work, and she was doing, cards and all that stuff. But yes, and she and her sister would have exhibitions. When she became an artist, they had exhibitions around one pool or another in Los Angeles. What's not to like about that? You put the art on the side of the, wall of the pool, outside of the pool, obviously, and people walk around with little snacks and look at art. I always thought that was amazing. But also, the artist Charles White. I mean, for me as a New Yorker, that's like, what? People are having art hanging near a pool. I just thought that was great. Black people, I thought this was amazing. But also the artist Charles White was from Altadena, or moved to Altadena. He was originally from Chicago. But that just shows you some of the older, some of the artists who made the Los Angeles community were from that area. And they are helping to build it back as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's part of, what has been so tragic about that is all the art that was lost, all the archival materials that were lost.
Yeah. That is, it is tragic, but hopefully there's other parts of it in other places. The Getty, Los Angeles Public Library, even, at Columbia University, and some of the books that are there. I mean, you can always find books and stuff. Some of the personal archives and art, that's tragic. But I think you can not rebuild, but you have to move on. Things happen in life. It's not right or fair. I'm not saying that, but I think we have to look to the future and all the things and all the young artists that are out there. Projects like Lauren Halsey's project that she has in LA, which is a sculptural park that she's built. And this is a younger artist that people need to be aware of and go to this sculptural park. So maybe when I get down there, or I will send you some more information about it, if you haven't already talked about it, which you may have.
Well, everyone's talking about it. That's just the outside. It's like a park museum outside piece. Yeah. I haven't gotten over there yet, but yeah, everyone's been talking about it. And that's amazing, because I feel like that we need it right now. It feels art feels more essential now with all of the craven and scary things that are happening in not just here in Washington D.C., but really with this sort of resurgence of fascism that we're seeing in Europe and Latin America as well.
Absolutely, and art is one place that you can go to feel differently. So I really encourage people always to see more art, and they don't have to go into the museum, but you can, and they have free days. They have, they try to be welcoming to people. They want people to come in and see, and if you're not a constant museum goer, don't feel bad. There's, always things to see, but definitely the Lauren Halsey. I know my friend Ian White is doing something in city parks, putting art in parks, and so I'll put you all in touch to talk about those projects, because art is really a lot of places that you may not think it is. But definitely, I mean, just look at these Betye Saar, like Black Girl's Window. She's looking into the future in that piece. And she's really, that I think is the lasting lesson of her work, is that it takes you elsewhere. It takes you to a place where you can think about making other choices and doing different things, because it takes you to a new world. And what do you learn there? I think that's what we got to ask ourselves. And it's also a bomb, like you said. It's like BALM, not BOM. Exactly that too. But it's also a place where you can relax for a minute. Like music, people know that about music more readily than they do about visual art.
Lauren Halsey's piece, Sister Dreamer, that we were referencing, is at Western and 76th in South LA. Yeah. It's in open air if you want to go see it. We're talking with Dr. Kellie Jones, professor and author, and we will continue the conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today. Just in case you missed our Procrastination Crenshaw Town Hall.
Literally right in front of our doorsteps the last 2 to 3 years, we have been interrupted by this nightmare of a project called Destination Crenshaw. The desire was partnership at the onset, but we've seen broken promise after broken promise. We've seen our parishioners impacted. We've seen our peers and our local neighbors impacted directly by this. We've seen the crippling of the Crenshaw economy as a result of this project starting and then ultimately walking away. And we're not going to just lay down. We're not going to just, amen, pretend like nothing's happening on our doorsteps. And tonight I want to get out of the way because I want to hear from you. I can stand there as a pastor and tell you how many times we've been interrupted from our flow of worship, how it's impacted our ability to provide services to our community, how the blight and how the construction derailment has hindered our ability to amply run our food pantry programs, to offer summer camp programs for our young people, how the construction impacts just our ability to be able to come to church and park. I can go on about how it's interrupted just our day-to-day operations and being able to accommodate the needs of our community.
Making sure they stick to the truth. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
This November, you'll decide who leads California. So shouldn't you hear directly from the people asking for your vote? Join us for California Voices, a political town hall and ballot forum, Saturday, October 3rd, 2026. Meet candidates running for governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, and other major statewide and local offices, including Mayor of Los Angeles, city attorney, and LA County Sheriff. Get clear, nonpartisan breakdowns of the propositions on your November ballot, both sides, no spin. And ask your questions directly, in real conversation, face to face. California Voices is brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 and the Empowerment Congress, giving you the information you need before you vote. Mark your calendar, Saturday, October 3rd, 2026, California Voices. Follow KBLA 1580 for details and download the KBLA 1580 app. Your vote, your voice. Be there.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DePrima on First Things First.
Okay, we're talking with Dr. Kellie Jones. She's a professor of art history and archaeology. She is an author. She is a curator. She also happens to be my sister. And you raised our father, Amiri Baraka, a.k.a. Leroy Jones, in talking about your conversation with him for your project, I Minded. But I think about him because of his being credited for the Black Arts Movement, and I wonder if we could, or if we will, or even if we are having a new Black Arts Movement now. I feel like we need that art that's willing to commit to liberation.
Absolutely. I would agree that artists always step up, and I'm glad you asked me because I was just thinking about the same thing. I mean, if you think about now, I'll go into my art history bag, like if you think about even back in the 19th century when people are first protesting, say, for independence from Latin America or even independence in this country, what do you have? You have placards. You have posters. Certainly in the 60s, that is well known. Artists, if you think about the, election of President Obama, we can think of that famous image of him, poster, right? So artists are always going to work in these times, and I would encourage you to go to alternative spaces, go see the Lauren Halsey Sister Dreamer project, because these are the type of projects and others, many others, that are, talking about what's going on now and asking. Many artists always ask tough questions. If you don't want to have a tough question, don't ask an artist a question. They are always willing to answer because, they speak from a creative place. And many of them are on the edge anyway, so what do they have to lose? But artists are always a part of freedom struggles. When you think of writing, when you think of posters, buttons, a lot of things that go along with protest and organizing, artists are very much involved. They're always going to need somebody to do those things. Music, we can think of protest songs. So I think we have that now. Right, we have that, and people can look at some of the things that they listen to and identify those things. Now,
do you think that? Obviously, the freedom of expression, in the art world is under attack. I mean, the president, I call him the resident, has has very clearly set out his goals for censoring museums and other cultural institutions. Is that a real threat, or is it just a passing BS?
Oh, I think it's real. I mean, we need to take it seriously. We need to take it seriously. It took people 100 years to get the National Museum of African American History and Culture, some people call it the Blacksonian, up. You can't just close that. And to censor history, and it's larger than Black Americans, and I'm not saying that in a disparaging way, but everybody has something to lose. The whole country has something to lose if you shut down history museums and edit these things. And I think the people in these institutions are doing what they can to preserve things, and playing that waiting game for the next couple of years. But it is real. It is absolutely real.
Yeah, Kellie, we just have Dr. Jones. We just have a minute and a half here. What do you want to leave folks with? We started out to pay tribute to Betye Saar, and of course, folks should look for your work, your books, and your exhibitions. What do you want to leave us with?
Just go see art, get inspired, and make the changes you need to see. And it sounds simple, but you don't have to do that all at once. But I think art, any kinds of art, can inspire you to do things that you need to do and enjoy at the same time.
For someone who's got all of these accolades and awards and degrees, you always make it seem so inviting. And so you do. I love that about you. And just one of the things you told me that I found most inspiring was, go look at the art that makes you happy. Like, duh.
Yeah, it's out there. It's out there. And LA has a lot of great art and a lot of things to see. So go out there and go see it. And they have events. You can meet people at a lot of these things. And you got to support these institutions. You're talking about institutions that are under attack. You got to support them.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure Cam appreciates, California African American Museum appreciates you shouting them out. Thank you for spending the hour with us. And if you missed the beginning of the show, I suggest you go back and listen, because Dr. Jones did shout out quite a few young and emerging African American and other artists that you want to track. So you don't have to be like the Basquiat bandwagon jumpers. Dr. Jones, thank you so much.
Thank you, Dominique. Always a pleasure.
Tavis Smiley's up next. He's got a jam-packed Monday show for you. I feel like he has extra guests on Monday, which means it's going to be exciting and fun. You don't want to miss it. You can find me on social media. I'm at Deprima Radio. The radio station is at KBLA 1580 everywhere. Please follow and support us, and we will do the same. Like my mama, the late, great Diane Deprima, used to say, the ultimate famine is the starvation of the imagination. Until tomorrow, KBLA delegation, one love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Mike Island with BIN News Now. The National Guard is being activated as crews continue to battle raging wildfires in Spokane, Washington. Reportedly, over 600 structures have been damaged or destroyed. A Good Samaritan and an off-duty state trooper are being praised by